there, it's Gary Parrish. Welcome back to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball Podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo birds, and leaky black. This episode of the Eye on College Basketball Podcast is presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, smash the like button like you're Brandon Davies. You got consent. And don't forget to also subscribe to the CBS Sports College Basketball YouTube channel while you're here. All right, let's get into it. The first great on-paper game of the season going to be played tonight inside Cameron Indoor Stadium in Durham, North Carolina. It's number 2 Duke hosted number 12 Arizona. Tip scheduled for 7 o'clock Eastern. That's on ESPN. We're going to pick it later in the season debut of the Final Four and One. Let's start by talking through how this big brand versus big brand home and home series came together. Deadleg, you wrote about it, CBSSports.com. You talked to Tommy Lloyd. You talked to John Shire. What did they tell you about their decision to give the first week of this season its only ranked versus ranked matchup?
Yeah, the only ranked versus ranked matchup the first 8 days of the season, in fact, and can't wait for this game tonight. This is going to be big time stuff. Only the second time Arizona has ever traveled to play at Cameron Indoor. The previous time was just a 2-point outcome in favor of Duke. Tommy Lloyd is the person responsible for making this happen. Shortly after Shire took over the reins of the Duke program, Lloyd called Shire in the spring of 22 and he called him explicitly to talk. They're not, they don't know each other exceedingly well. They've seen each other on the recruiting trail here and there, but it's not like they're absolute buddies. And he saw Lloyd, who's always willing and wanting to schedule very aggressively. In fact, Arizona this season, when it's all said and done, could wind up with the toughest non-conference schedule in the country. It's at Duke. It's got a game against Michigan State, and we'll see what Michigan State is, but that's out in Palm Springs. It's got a game against Wisconsin. It's playing Purdue and Indianapolis. It's playing Alabama on a neutral floor as well. It's got Florida Atlantic in Las Vegas. So the point is, Tommy Lloyd, and this is detailed in the column, but has ambitiously scheduled in the non-conference in a way that reflects, how he came up under Mark Few at Gonzaga. So he calls up Shire, and sometimes these things behind the scenes between coaches, I think, to kind of peek behind the curtain for our audience, there are plenty of instances you and I have heard over the years where, two head coaches at, two top 15, 20, 25 type programs, sometimes they successfully make a series work, and sometimes that takes years. Sometimes they get close to making something work and it just never materializes for one reason or another. Sometimes, frankly, those reasons are understandable, and sometimes, in my opinion, they are not. But in this case, it just didn't take long. Shire wanted him to do it. It was notable because Mike Krzyzewski did not willingly schedule a non-conference road game that wasn't mandated by a television arrangement. So this is not Big Ten ACC challenge stuff. The last time, as far as I can tell, and to be honest, I didn't 100% fact check this. So for all I know, maybe this might have also been TV mandated, but I'm giving Kay the benefit of the doubt. 2008 against Michigan was the last time Duke went on the road, and it wasn't in one of these specifically TV arranged roadies in the non-con for Duke. Duke did just fine for itself. Krzyzewski didn't necessarily have to do this, but it is better for college basketball in the first 4 to 6 weeks of its season if you have the Duke program either in its hallowed confines of Cameron Indoor or going into hostile territory against a big program in the non-con, having them in that kind of environment, right? And we will have that later this month when Duke travels to play Arkansas in the new ACC SEC challenge, and that's going to be an awesome thing. But Shire told me this is going to be the plan moving forward. I'm going to schedule a home and home with a big program annually, and so I would venture to guess that in years when Duke is scheduled to be on the road in the ACC SEC challenge, then Duke will have the home game against the big time team, just like this year. And then when that's flipped next year, Duke's going to go in the first week of the season play at Arizona. And they could be the number 1 ranked team with Cooper Flagg. That could be the best matchup of the entire non-con a year from now. Duke will get the home game against whatever SEC team comes in. So Lloyd wanted to make it happen. It didn't take long. And as the column points out, it's really refreshing that 2 coaches with 3 combined years of head coaching experience. Shire's 36. Lloyd's been around a bit. He's 48, but in terms of head coaching, like he's still relatively new to the game. They are scheduling as though they have the best job security in the country, and frankly, they have very good job security. But it would be understandable, GP, if they weren't as ambitious as the way they've been. I hope that's a bit contagious, because to have Duke and Arizona, 2 clear top 10 programs in the country. From a brand perspective, Duke is probably number 1. Arizona easily is in the top 10, maybe even better than that. Agreeing to play each other, and then just this isn't going to change. At least that's what the guys told me. So I'm going to hold them to account. Like, we're going to continue to see Arizona and Duke, programs that matter on a national level, continue to be in these games in on-campus environments. And if more coaches had and I'm not saying that the sport is void of it. I'm not saying that. But it used to be more than it is now. And if more coaches took this approach, then we have some great games on Friday, GP. We would just have more than one ranked-on-ranked matchup in the first 8 days of the season.
Yeah, it would be understandable, as you put it, if neither one of these relatively young head coaches wanted to challenge themselves in the non-league in such obvious ways, if only because most coaches don't want to challenge themselves in such obvious ways in the non-league portion of their schedule, and they can get away with it. They a lot of them won't. I won't say most, or the overwhelming majority, but like a lot of them wouldn't do what Tommy and John have done here. Just realize you put their names together, you get Tommy John.
That's correct. I realized that when I was, I don't know, writing the column. It's not framed in there. I was like, when you put these guys together, they're
a surgery.
They're Tommy John. That's right.
You put these guys together, they become a surgery.
That's right.
Okay. So maybe that'll.
By the way, the guy who got the surgery got the guy named after him, as opposed to the doctor that performed it. I've always had an issue with that. Shouldn't the guy that actually performed the procedure get the naming rights instead of the athlete?
I feel like, I've never thought about it, but I feel like if I were the surgeon, and I did this surgery, and they named it after the guy I did the surgery on, I'd feel like, I got cheated a little bit.
Yeah, I got an issue with it. So.
I do. You know what?
I've been holding that in for the past 10 years on the show. So
I hadn't thought about it, but now I suddenly have an issue with it too. I take up your calls.
Exactly. Thank you.
I support that.
Yes,
I support your movement. I talked to John about this even before he officially took over the Duke program from Kay, and he had indicated that he wanted to do this. And just because Duke hadn't done this in recent years wasn't going to prevent him from doing it. And one of the things I think he understands, and I hope he understands this, because it's undeniably true. I think he does understand this. Taking Duke somewhere is like a big deal. Like, when Duke is at a place, that's a big deal. We can debate, and I know Kentucky fans and Kansas fans and Carolina fans, we can debate what's the greatest men's basketball program of all time, or what's the greatest men's basketball program right now. I don't think there's much of a debate about what is the biggest brand in the sport. And that is, I believe that to be Duke. Somebody could maybe pull some numbers to try to support it or disprove it, but I think Duke being somewhere is a bigger deal than anybody else being somewhere on a national level. So I can just remember when I was a beat writer covering Memphis. Memphis played Duke in the NIT season tip-off title game, like day after Thanksgiving in the Garden, and that was a big deal. Not that Memphis was playing on national TV the day after Thanksgiving in the Garden. Yeah, that's it. Duke. That Memphis was playing Duke for a trophy was a big deal. And I just think Duke carries that kind of power in the sport. And if you have the power as the head coach of that program to take them to Arizona, then take that program to, UConn someday, to Gonzaga someday, to UCLA someday, however you want to do it. It does seem that, from reading your column, both these guys want to, it's not just, hey, let's find another good team. It's like, let's find another big brand. And let's do big brands on big brands. Yeah, it helps if the teams are both Final Four contenders, but mostly we want big brands. We want to go to where their home is, and we want to bring them to ours. I love it. It's good for the sport. I'd argue it's good for Duke and also good for Arizona independently, because as you point out in the column, I guess there's some downside to this in the sense that somebody's going to come out of here with a loss that they otherwise wouldn't have, but the committee is not going to punish you for losing at Duke. And if you're Duke and you lose the game, the committee's not going to punish you for losing to what would undeniably be a really good Arizona team if you win at Duke. So nobody loves like seed line bumps more than dead leg. You know that. But I think even he would tell you that the loser of this game on Selection Sunday, that somebody lost this game will matter not at all. I would suggest not at all.
Yeah, I think that's highly possible and likely. And that's the risk is minimal. The upside is tremendous. I mean, if Arizona can go in and win this game and get a quad 1 win, there's a decent probability that by the time we get to Selection Sunday, if Arizona's to do it, and Arizona would get the road win, so it would have more value than Duke getting the home win. It could be one of the 5 most valuable victories of the entire season. And I'm not going to overstate this. This isn't a fearlessness. It's more of a, and Tommy, they both said that they want their teams involved in games against opponents that matter on a national level, that people want to watch these games. They want to test their guys. And I also think, and Shire didn't say this directly, but I brought it up in conversation, because the ACC right now and listen, the ACC is yet to lose a game as of the taping of this podcast. So maybe it's going to be undefeated by the end of the first week of the season. That would be a great thing. But because the ACC with 15 teams is putting at the feet of many of its teams more quad 3 results as a result of this, you can have a little bit of a tug on your resume in the wrong direction. And so to potentially offset that, because you can't control your league schedule, and the Pac-12 has some of this too. And frankly, I think it's, Tommy didn't bring this up either, but I have to think on some level, these are smart guys that certainly that lean into the metrics of the sport and understand how this works and how those things impact seeding and selection. Their conferences could be giving them just an extra 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 games that from a resume standpoint do nothing. And so if you can play this kind of game and the loss doesn't really hurt you and the win really boosts you, again, seed line bump situation here, then I think that's a factor that has to be acknowledged. I didn't put it in the column, but I also think that is part of it here. And I hope that is contagious. There's also another part of this that I mentioned in the story, and that's the MTE space, multi-team events. We are getting more of them by the year. And the reason we're getting more of them is the industry is able, through advertising and private ventures, to be able to provide a lot of money to these teams to get paid. Like the reason why Baylor played Auburn in South Dakota, in addition to the Pentagon being an amazing venue, is those teams got paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to play in that event by the organizers that surround it. Okay, that's why those kind of games happen. Now, that's not an MTE. It was a single game event, but in that space, the opportunity for these event organizers to say, hey, we want you to play in this thing with these 3 other teams. And if you do it, we're going to be able to pay you out $125,000, or we'll pay you $300,000. And so because of that, and because these programs are in the business of not just wanting to win games, but also make money, sometimes coaches see, all right, if we go to that, like, all right, maybe that one team is good and it's a good matchup, but the other one, like, we should definitely win that. And plus I get to bring home $250K to my athletic department. Because that is becoming more, it's a schedule creep. The availability, theoretically, for these high major teams to schedule these games like a true home away environments for your top 25 level programs, they are just, little opportunities here and there on the schedule are starting to disappear. That being said, ultimately, this is it's up to the coaches. The coaches have the say on what they're going to do when it comes to their schedule for the most part. Again, the Gavitt games, which are now going away, which are also taking place over the next week, that is a conference to conference. The coaches don't have control over those matchups, but there are still, depending on the team, depending on the school, you have 11 non-conference games. Coaches will have anywhere between 5 and 7 or 8 or 9 to decide, and they can pick which ones they want to do. It was a conscious decision for Arizona not to play in an MTE. I just talked to Chris Holtman at Ohio State. We'll get to the Buckeyes later on the show. He's another one. Now, Ohio State's not a top 20 program this year, but he said, I don't want to play in these neutral site games. I want home and homes. He told me he had constant requests the entire offseason. Hey, there's this MTE, there's this MTE, there's this MTE. He kept having to tell his staff and the people in his athletic department, I don't want this. I want to play home. So ultimately, this falls on the coaches, and I hope with the amount of attention that gets brought upon in Arizona at Duke this year and a Duke at Arizona next year, that the coaches that are in these, if you've got a projected top 25 level team, arrange these home and homes and just give it again just a little more juice. This is a great thing. It's better than I take the game no matter what, no matter where, no matter how. But Arizona at Duke just is more exciting than Arizona versus Duke in South Dakota or Las Vegas or Orlando, Florida. So it's refreshing to see these two coaches intentionally seek this out, and they say that they're going to continue to do so.
It's good for the sport. It's also good for the players, and not just from get you battle tested perspective or whatever. Like, people get old. They stop playing basketball, but they still watch it on TV, and they got kids and they got grandkids. And then Cameron Indoor pops up, and so he goes, "Hey, Dad, you ever play there?" "Hey, I did play there. I did play." "Yeah, back in November 2023, I guess." I mean, that's a real memory. Like, no offense to any neutral site location, but unless it's the Garden, most neutral court players like, it's
Maui. Let's give a shout out to Maui, but yeah.
Yes. It's cool for people to go play in places they've been watching on TV forever, and then to be able to watch TV forever and say, "Oh yeah, we played there back in 2023." And Duke creating home and homes, Arizona creating home and homes creates those memories for those players. It's just, you put a piece of paper down, start doing pros and cons. The pros far outweigh any cons for most coaches of big brands in the sport. And I, like you, appreciate Tommy and John. It's a surgery. It's a surgery. I appreciate both of them, being so willing so early in their head coaching careers to go down this path. And like you, I hope more people follow their lead if they are in fact leading. There have been a couple of West Coast developments since we last talked. Gonzaga lost a player. Cal added one. We'll get into that next. First, a word from our partners.
Wake up to football highlights and news from around the world with the one and only Morning Footy team.
Rise and shine, football fans. Welcome to Morning Footy.
Start your all-day football craze with Morning Footy, part of the all-new Golazo Network.
Couple of West Coast developments since we last talked. Gonzaga lost a player. His name's Steele Venters. Out for the season, knee injury. Meantime, Cal's Jaylon Tyson finally got his 2-time transfer waiver approved. Let's start with Steele Venters. How big of a loss is this for your Zags?
My Zags? I believe you have Gonzaga ranked higher than I do. Do you not?
I would love to claim the Zags if you'll let me.
You can claim the Zags here. Listen, it's Gonzaga entered the season with, a lower projected ceiling than it had in the past 5+ seasons. That being said, still safely and easily in the rankings, and was 5th at KenPom to start the season. Again, a lot of that's influenced by the past 3, 4, 5 seasons worth of results for Gonzaga as a collective program there. But I wouldn't say that Few has exceptional depth this year at Gonzaga. At least it doesn't appear that way. And so for the Big Sky Player of the Year, a person who was expected to be, I think, an important piece offensively for them to not be available, I think it's notable. Gonzaga is going to play. This game is not in our Final Four and 1. Gonzaga is going to play Friday night against Yale, a Yale team that's I have in my top 101 teams, projected to be the strongest team in the Ivy League. Granted, Yale's got to go on the road and play at Gonzaga. I don't expect Yale to win the game, but maybe no Venters. We see what kind of team that Gonzaga has. Maybe it winds up being competitive. If Gonzaga wins by 27, I'm not going to be stunned. But in the big picture, like not having him, I do think this knocks Gonzaga back ever so slightly. I think with a lot of new pieces here, they expected Venters to play something of a significant role. And now not having him, that impacts potentially the WCC race as well. St. Mary's edged Gonzaga in the preseason poll by 1 vote as the technical league favorite for the first time in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, you can't call him when he commits to Gonzaga, you can't say he's a big addition without now also saying he's a big loss. Mm-hmm. Like, can't be a big addition if you ain't also a big loss if you get taken off the court. And we now know he's done for the season. 6'7" wing, averaged 15.3 points last season. Eastern Washington shot above 40% in 3 years at Eastern Washington. He's the reigning Big Sky Player of the Year. And his injury cost the Zags a projected starter, some experience, probably their best shooter, and it damages the depth. It's not good. The Zags were already missing 3 of the top 4 scorers from last season. Now somebody who was expected to be one of the top 4 scorers this season is also unavailable. They did enroll a 6'6" freshman, Dusty Stromer, 62nd in the class of 2023. So, hey, opportunity for him, perhaps. But if we thought last week that the Zags streak of 8 consecutive trips to the Sweet 16 was in jeopardy, we can both agree it's more in jeopardy today than it was a week ago. This is not an ideal situation for Gonzaga. I'll continue to trust them until they suggest that I can't. There's still some good pieces in that program. They still got a future Hall of Fame coach, but losing a wing with size who can shoot at this level, like Steele Venters could, it's not impossible to overcome, but it's something they now got to overcome. At Cal, news came yesterday. Jaylon Tyson, who was a 2-time transfer, started his career at Texas, then went to Texas Tech, then transferred to Cal after Mark Adams was fired, in part for allegedly using racially insensitive words and descriptions for reasons that didn't make any sense to any sensible person. Jaylon Tyson's initial waiver was denied by the NCAA. We talked about this on the Eye on College Basketball podcast episode that we did for CBS Sports Network. And here we are a week later. Good news has arrived. I think the last thing I said about Jaylon Tyson on that pod was hopefully the NCAA revisits this and does the right thing. And the right thing would be to allow this young man to play this season. Yesterday, the NCAA did the right thing. So if we're going to bang on them when they do the wrong thing, should tip a hat to them when they do the right thing. I think they got the right thing done here.
Yeah, they did, without a doubt. I mean, his circumstances that led him to transfer out of Texas Tech and all of his, the things that he said he experienced there, which obviously get vetted. This was a no-brainer. We still are waiting on a number of waiver decisions, and this is not a surprise. We're 5 days into the season, and there's still players who are considered to be important pieces at other programs that haven't been cleared yet and are still kind of twisting in the wind. Jaylon Tyson's case, perhaps because there was more attention and publicity around it. I don't know if it got expedited. It wasn't done before the season started, but it was one of the 3 highest profile.
Hey, it wasn't handled. We brought it to CBS Sports Network. It got handled.
Bada bing. Tyson, by the way, is actually, in terms of who he is as a player, shot 40% from 3-point range last season, and is a good dynamic wing that Cal needs. I don't know how good Cal is going to be this season, but when you're Mark Madsen and you are in your first season running a high major program, every body available to you and that can improve your standing matters a hell of a lot. They get him available. Tyson deserves to be able to play. And so he is. We wait on others. This will be trickling into next week and hopefully resolved by Thanksgiving in terms of all notable waiver decisions. But even like Big Z at Kentucky, now that's not a waiver transfer decision, but that's an eligibility thing where he still hasn't been cleared. There are still stories like this out there, but good for Cal to get him cleared. And yeah, I'm pretty much going to credit our CBS Sports Network podcast episode for getting that done.
I'm not the type that's going to sit here and take credit for getting a young man eligible at a Pac-12 institution. It's just not my style. Liar! But if somebody else wanted to give us credit, I would humbly accept it. I wouldn't be comfortable accepting it, but I would accept it just in the spirit of doing what's right.
It's a Friday, so it's in the spirit of doing what's right now. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Final Four in one time. You know what time it is.
Is it?
It should be.
I thought you wanted to do your little news and notes.
No, that's after. That's after.
It's not after the Final Four and one, by the way. That's not the way we do it. I know you like to start. I know you got your fingers wet trying to plan a little bit, but that ain't the way we plan it. Final Four and one is last.
All right, JP.
I'm just telling you. I'm just telling you the way we do it.
All right, JP.
I don't want to be the one to have to remind you how we do things around here.
Let's go.
But that is the way we do things around here. Nada, correct me if I'm wrong. I might be wrong. I'm wrong all the time.
No, you're right on this one. I was like, again, you're rushing to get to dessert, Norlander. What are you doing?
This dude wants his plate of bacon before he's had his pastrami sandwich.
I do. Actually, I don't eat either of those things, but yes, in general, yes.
Yeah.
We can do a little news and notes. JMU beat Kent State. Down 10 with 6 and change to go. We have to talk about JMU real quick because the ending.
Do we? And
yeah, we do. You know what?
Do we?
You're damn right we do. Okay.
This is the classic. This is the classic. College basketball nerds get real excited, and then in 6 weeks it's over. I'm not predicting that or hoping
you're
that.
You're going to predict JMU's win total, and with that in mind, I got to figure you're going under 18 wins.
No, I would not. No, I'm not going under 18 wins.
It's going to be over.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe in JMU. I just don't. I believe in JMU. I'm believing it's the 4th president of the United States. I'm gonna be quiet. It's the 4th president of the United States. I should be.
I got a Jared Burson reference in here, and you're trying to get me to not talk about this.
I should show a little more respect. Exactly. That's on me. You go ahead.
The Dukes are the only Division I team, according to Jared Burson, who used to work at ESPN Stats Information. Now
he used to own ESPN Stats and Information. He is ESPN Stats and Information.
He still tweets out good college hoops nuggets. Only D1 team in the past 30 years to open a season with 2 road wins that came in overtime. JMU, the Dukes. Terrence Edwards, by the way, another great game. Good job by him. 25 points, 10 boards, 6 assists. JMU is a projected winner and favorite for every game remaining in the calendar year of 2023. There's a tricky Southern Miss game in the first week of 2024.
Oh, man, I've been knowing about them tricky Southern Miss games my whole life.
So with that in mind.
Shouts to Clarence Weatherspoon.
And in the spirit. In the spirit of our Summer Shoot-Around series, we're going to do regular season win total for James Madison right now.
All right.
2 games behind. All right. Regular season win total, James Madison. What do you got?
Okay. I don't know.
I think you have 2 non-league losses because you're going to run into a little philosophical issue here if you got 2 non-league losses per usual.
I mean, I got him. I want to believe in James Madison. I felt like I didn't enter this part of the conversation with the right kind of enthusiasm. I apologize for that.
Yeah,
I know. I apologize for that.
Too cynical.
I apologize for that. I'm sitting here saying I'm sorry. James Madison, regular season. 40.
No, come on. They only play 31.
Yeah, I know, but
okay.
They're going to play really well.
So they're playing 31 games.
Yep.
Give an honest guess here. How many wins? If they get to the tournament, how many wins are their postseason tournament, which is the Sun Belt this year? Football team hasn't lost, by the way. Things are going well for the Dukes.
Sounds like it.
I'm gonna say 26-5.
I'm gonna say 27-4.
Okay.
I just wanted to be one better than you. I want the Dukes fans to know that of the Eye on College basketball folk, I'm the one that believes in them more than anybody else.
Just hit that back button about 2.5 minutes ago. You might not get that same kind of vibe. No. By the way, Kent State had a 23-game home winning streak that was snapped. Good job by JMU. FAU picked up where it left off. Just a quick Owls got it done against Loyola Chicago. So good initial signs there. And then St. Mary's. New Mexico didn't have Jalen House, but St. Mary's won 72-58, held Jamal Mashburn Jr. to only 7 points on Thursday night. Aiden Mahaney, 25 points, and he looked.
Did you see this tweet we got from David this morning?
I did. I was going to invoke this.
Invoke it, please.
So David Glidden on Twitter, he tweeted at us, and you can look up the most popular names for boys and girls in a given year, because hello, people get born, you got to go on the grid. You have a social security number.
What?
So they track
What?
names. And
I didn't allow any of my children to get social security numbers.
Seems illegal. All right, so
I don't want them being tracked.
So he sent along this graph about the popularity of the names Aiden and Tyler with an O.
Mm-hmm.
He said, according to the government, Aiden with an A, Aiden with an E, A-I-D-E-N, nor Tyler were in the top 1,000 most popular names in 1977, which he says is equivalent to fewer than 75 total. So there were some out there apparently, but just not that many. Your general theory on the popularity of Aiden does seem to match up.
It's a direct result of Sex in the City, believe it or not.
I don't think the graph correlates to it's early 90s. It seems to take off. The Sex in the City, I think, debuted somewhere around like 98, something like that. So
but early 2000s is where it peaks.
Oh yeah, it peaks.
And my oldest was born in 2003. Like my wife loved that show and she loved that character, and that's where she got that name from. And the only thing I could argue with her about, I said, we're not spelling it the same way as the show. So I can always say, well, no, it's not. Of course, I didn't name my first son after a character from Sex and the City. What do you think I am? So I made her change a letter. We're A-I-D-E-N, not A-I-D-A-N. The character was A-N. That's where we're at.
Parrish also has a child named after Oliver Purnell.
Yes.
As a reminder to our new listeners.
Yeah, I have one child named after a Sex and the City character, second child named after Oliver Purnell, and we named our third child after
Louis Armstrong.
Better than Louis C.K.
You got that right. By the way, Michigan State is 2 for 31 from three-point range through 2 games. They didn't have an issue winning on Thursday night, but I did want to at least note that a team that was really, really good at three-point shooting last season has started off very poorly. We'll keep an eye on Sparty moving forward. That's all my news and notes, okay?
It's dessert time then. Oh, it's dessert time then.
Let's go.
It's time for the final 401. But before we do that, I need one more word from somebody I call a partner.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
She said, I want to name this kid after Sex and the City character. I said, you better change that third vowel or I'm out of here.
Yeah, that's how it went down.
You'll raise this kid alone.
Yeah,
you don't change that third vowel. I ain't gonna get pushed around in my own house when it comes to naming kids.
Feel like he did.
Had no say in any of it.
0.
Dude, I name. How about this? Oliver has a middle name that I didn't have nothing to do with. I didn't even know it existed. I'm talking about I came back in the room, the birth certificate's sitting there. The nurse hands it to me and says, hey, just make sure, I just want you to, check it, make sure everything's right. I look at it. I'm like, Oliver Jean, where is Jean come from? I never heard this before in my life. She said, well, that's my grandmother's middle name. It would mean a lot to my grandmother.
And Sister Jean.
And Sister Jean. I have a son named after Oliver Purnell and a son named after her sister Jean. And I said, did we just, would it be okay if I did that? If you got the birth certificate and I just put a random name in there that we never.
How it works.
That's not. And I just said, okay, what do I care?
And she said, did you just go through 9 months of pregnancy? And then you say, nope.
I did say
sounds
no.
Good.
Sounds
good to me.
I just said, hey, I'm going to go get a cup of coffee, I think. You need anything? I'm going to go get a cup of coffee. It's the final 4-1.
A reminder. We pick 4 games. We rename the arenas. Yep.
We do it against the spread. It's presented by FanDuel Sportsbook.
It is. And I won last year.
Make every moment more. I think you've won every year.
I haven't. There was one year that you won.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
I'd love to go back to that place.
Yep.
I'd love to get
You paid up one bet by paying for my Astros ticket at the Final Four.
Okay.
But you technically still have not paid up a bet where you buy me a ticket to a concert of my choice, and that still hasn't happened. We were going to see Rage Against the Machine together, and then Zach De La Roca tore his ACL. They canceled the tour. They haven't gone back on since. So you still have one outstanding bet. Just so
Did we go to Run the Jewels or something?
That was a bet you paid off like 5 years ago.
Man, I can't keep track.
What is on the line for the season long? I like your chances this year. I got to be honest. I think you're going to win. What's on the line this year?
If I win, you have to move that coat rack out of the frame.
The coat rack's getting moved out of the frame by the next episode.
Wow.
Yeah. That's not a you request. That's a wife request.
Oh, well, At least me and your wife are on the same page.
Yeah. Listen, I only
surprised it hadn't been
so much room up here. I got to have the coach.
Surprised it hadn't been a from above a request yet.
A what?
They just throw you on CBS Sports HQ all the time. You got shirts in your background.
No, I'm on my HQ one's the other one. It's the shell. I don't do this one for HQ.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You've been on HQ with me. Do I ever go on HQ with my podcast setup? No.
I don't pay attention.
You're out of your mind, right?
I only look at myself.
Okay. I'm going to shouts to cbs@gmail.com. Send your suggestions for what wager should be on the line for me and Parrish for the season for the Final Four one. Again, shouts to cbs@gmail.com or drop them right here in the chat. We're 0-0-0 against each other. And it's time. And as a reminder, this is a vessel, a vehicle, a reason to talk about games. Okay. Do we pick them against the spread? Sure. Of course we do. But we're really just picking, off the top of our domes. So with that in mind, by the way, I'm not playing the music right now. I just freaked myself out. That's not a production situation right there. GP, TSF, what do we got?
It's presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. I used to not pick Friday games. Remember that?
You were wrong then, and you've found the error of your ways.
I decided to change. I don't want to live like that anymore. I just didn't want to live. You wake up one day and you go, I don't want to live like this anymore.
Yeah. Also, if you look at the schedule this weekend, we have no choice.
That's right. Sometimes you have to look at the schedule, and then you look at the schedule and you go, man, I don't want to live like this anymore. So I decided to start picking Friday games. Here we are, game 1, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's number 12 Arizona at number 2 Duke inside RJ Indoor Stadium. You can watch it on ESPN2. Duke minus 5.5. It's Duke minus 5.5.
Caleb Love returning to Cameron Indoor, by the way. Fun little subplot here. Caleb Love, 7 career games against Duke. All of them, obviously, at North Carolina. Averaged 17.7 points, 4.4 dimes, 3.3 boards, shot 40%. In Cameron specifically, Love's averages are 19.7 points, 2.7 boards, 5.3 assists, while shooting 42% from three-point range. He has fared well in that building. Mark Mitchell, sprained ankle. Sounds like he's going to try and give it a go at Shire's media availability on Thursday. It seemed to indicate that he is more likely to play than not, but we'll wait and see. Mitchell, obviously, a very important player there. We'll keep an eye on that. If not, Filipowski may need to come up big. He had 25 in the opener. Trivia time! This is a trivia time that's been sitting around for weeks here. Kyle Filipowski won ACC Rookie of the Year last season, GP.
True. I say true.
He is the first ACC Rookie of the Year to return to school since what player? Don't think you have any shot. I don't think you have any shot at getting this. No shot.
Shane Larkin.
I don't think he ever won ACC Rookie of the Year. The answer
he should have.
Is Boston College's Olivier Hanlon.
I knew it was going to be somebody from Boston College. Every weird answer to an ACC question is somebody from Boston College.
Without a doubt.
No, that's true.
10 years. And that makes sense. If you play in the ACC and you're a Rookie of the Year, more likely not to be at Duke, and that means
you're using name Paulo.
Exactly. Or Carolina, but and then
Aiden.
So flips the first in a decade to be the best freshman in the league, and then opt to return there. Caleb Foster had 15 in Duke's season opener, which is good. Tommy Lloyd, 11-4 against top 25 opponents at Arizona. He is 4-1 against top 5 teams since he got that job. But yet, Arizona as a program, GP, last time it won on the road against a team ranked in the top 2, March 8th of 2001 against, number 1 Stanford.
God. How are you supposed to go beat teams on the road in the top 2. I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous bar to
I
set.
know. I'm just saying.
We
It's
haven't beat a
the last time it
top 2
happened.
team on the road in decades.
The last
Like,
time
what?
it happened. Last time it happened.
Most programs have never done that.
7 of the 9 all-time meetings between these schools have been decided by single digits.
I know John Brown ain't never done that.
What's this line?
5.5, big number.
Arizona, give it to me. That's too many. That's too many points. Arizona. Now, I cannot wait for this game, man. This is tremendous stuff. But I will go Arizona inside the number.
Trivia time. Which
right.
one of us
Olivier Hanlon
suggested that Cal Filipowski might not be Duke's best player this year right before he went out and got 25 and 7 in the opener?
I think that had to be you.
It was you.
Did I?
You said, I'm not even sure Filipowski is going to be their best player. And I said, what are you talking
I think I might have said most important player. Shouts to Jeremy Roach. But either way, I'll take the L.
Who's more important than a guy getting 25 and 7?
The guy giving him the ball.
I'd rather sub somebody in for the guy giving him the ball than sub somebody in for him.
All right.
I like them both, though. Duke's awesome. Arizona scored 122 in its opener. 55% from the field, 44% from 3, 81% from the free throw line. Take those numbers. Both years, top 10 offense under Tommy Lloyd. Yes or no? Arizona's a top 10 offense in the country again this year.
Yes.
On track.
Yes.
On track after game 1. I feel like they're begging us to take Arizona.
They might be.
Top 15 team,
I know.
big brand. You giving them 5.5 points? I feel like there's some funny business going on.
Fire, man. I agree.
I feel like there's some funny business going on here. I feel like they're saying, how could you not take Arizona plus 5.5? Watch this. I'm gonna turn it around on them.
Okay.
Duke minus 5.5. That's where I'm at.
You just turned it around on
I
them.
just flipped it over.
Well done.
Just flipped it over.
Yeah.
They said,
That's what they want you to do. They want you to turn it around on them. So
don't
now
tell me, buddy. I know.
doing exactly what they want.
No. You did exactly what they want.
Yeah, that's what they want you to think, is that you think
You're a
that I do what
sheep.
they want, but you do
You're a
what you want.
sheep. You're a sheep. You do exactly what they want. Who's the independent thinker now? Game 2.
Flash 4. Okay. All right. All right. Continue.
I think we've said enough about Duke and Arizona.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
I do think so, yeah.
The bets are in. You're a sheep.
Well, the picks are in, let's be clear. I will not be betting on this game. I do not bet on the games. So
The picks are in. One of us is a sheep and took Arizona like they want us to. The other one's an independent thinker. It's going to go with Duke at home.
If Arizona covers the number nada, this is getting clipped. ASAP before the sun comes up Saturday. All right, game 2.
There's no guarantee the sun's coming up Saturday.
It's a bigger guarantee than Duke covering 5.5.
Independent thinker. I know what they want me to do. I'm going to do the opposite. Game 2, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. Number 15, Texas A&M at Ohio State inside Mike Conley Arena. You can watch it on Peacock. Ohio State minus 1.5. Ooh! Ooh!
Whoa!
Ooh!
1.5.
Oh, I know what they want you to do here.
It's the 4th all-time meeting. These teams last faced off in 2007. A&M right now, this is their 3rd best ranking heading into a season in program history. Only other years they were 13th in 07, 14th in 1980, 15th right now. Ohio State kind of dodged a mini disaster earlier in the week, home against Oakland, pulled that out. A&M brings back, and we talked about this preseason, but their most important players in terms of minutes leaders, points, rebounds, steals, assists, 3-pointers made, they're all back. This is a road game. I actually thought that this was going to be Ohio State minus 0.5 point. I will go A&M here. I'm going to take A&M on the road straight up. Give me Buzz Williams' team. I picked them to win the SEC. I picked them top 10. I got to ride with them on the first game of the season.
A&M returned 4 starters from a team that went 15-3 in the SEC, and the SEC is a league that produced the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament. They had the 4th incarnation of Wade Taylor.
Listen, the world has been building to this moment. Tonight, Ohio State.
We had the first Wade Taylor. Good man, but he couldn't get this done.
Couldn't. That's right.
We had the second Wade Taylor. Good man. Never went to Columbus, Ohio to win a basketball game.
Not to my
Third Wade Taylor, good man. But it took us 4 tries. 4th time's a charm. Now we got us a Wade Taylor who's ready to go to Mike Conley Arena. Here's the thing, though. That's what they want. Here's the thing.
Oh, gosh.
You know what all the sheep are thinking? Hold up. This team went 15-3 in the SEC, in the NCAA tournament, ranked 15th in the country, got 4 starters back, including the 4th incarnation of a Wade Taylor. And I'm getting points with them on the road against the Ohio State team that wasn't good last season? What do you think the sheep are doing?
What's the pick, GP?
What do you think the sheep are doing? They're taking A&M. What do you think the independent thinkers are doing? Not falling for it. Not falling for it. I'm going to take unranked Ohio State. And I'm going to lay that 1.5 point. Can't trick me. Big season for Chris Holtman.
It sounds like you're giving him some credit right now.
I know Ohio State fans have been troubled, bothered. You still got one of the best coaches in the country. Just had a rough season last season. Would you agree with that? Would you co-sign that? Ohio State still has one of the best coaches in the country.
Yeah.
Just had a rough season.
Agreed.
All right. It's a big one, though. Year 7. 4 NCAA tournament appearances so far, but this is what Buckeye fans will tell you: 0 Sweet 16s, and then missed the tournament last season. Only been a top 4 seed once, so really only is supposed to, based on seeding, had been in the only supposed to have been in the Sweet 16 once. So but was a 2 seed in 2021. That's when they lost to Oral Roberts, round of 64. Tonight, first step back in the right direction. Quality win at home. Ohio State minus 1.5. Game 3, Friday, 7 p.m. Eastern. UCF at number 13 Miami inside the Shane Larkin Center.
That's why you said Shane Larkin earlier. It's the only Miami player you could think of. Why did you pick this game? I'm not opposed to talking about it, but I'm curious about. We got some good nominees. Why was this one on the list for you?
I want to tell you about Norshad Omier.
All right, let's do it.
You know Norshad.
I do.
20 points, 10 rebounds, 4 assists, 3 steals in the opener. Did you notice? 2 of 2 from 3. He only took 16 threes all last season in 37 games. Took 2 and made both in the opener. What if he's now a perimeter threat? What if he's now a unicorn?
I'm going to say no.
You're skeptical of Norshad
Of him being a unicorn 3-point threat? Yeah, I'm skeptical. Yeah.
He's shooting 100% from 3 so far this season.
Yeah.
You know anybody who's shooting 100% from 3?
At this point, the number might be triple digits at this point in the season.
Well, I'll tell you one of them. It's a 6'7" front court star for your Final Four Miami Hurricanes. He's back. And apparently better than ever, more versatile than ever.
9.5.
Put him in the 3-point competition at the Final Four.
I have to take Miami here. I don't know how good or not UCF is. This is at Miami. Sunshine State battle. UCF now in the Big 12. It's a competitive non-conference game to say the least. I'm in on the Canes. They want you to take Miami, and I'm taking Miami.
There's some funny business going on over in the computers with Miami.
It's been like this for a while.
Miami's 43rd at KenPom. Finished 24th last season at KenPom after making the Final Four. And this ain't some team that got hot and made the Final Four. Like, they were co-ACC champs. They were good. They make the co-ACC champs, make the Final Four, bring back 3 starters, add Matthew Cleveland, and you go down to the 40s to start the season? How's that work? Text your buddy Kim Pomeroy. Ask him how that works.
He's on.
Just say GP wants to know how that works.
Time. It's not even 8 a.m. here. I'm not hitting him up.
Just say, hey, I'm talking to GP. He wants to know how that works. Miami ended the season 24th. Bring back 3 starters. Add Matthew Cleveland. Norshad shooting threes.
They're 48th at Torvik.
What? Text your buddy Bart Torvik
at
and tell him
Torvik.
GP wants to know what's going on. How does that happen?
34th at evanmaya.com. Shouts to Evan.
Nobody respects the Hurricanes. I can't find a single computer that respects the Hurricanes. Disrespectful.
So with that in mind, you're taking them to cover the 9.5.
Yes, they're undervalued. They're undervalued.
All right, I think we can get to the next game here.
Game 4, Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern. Number 9, Tennessee at Wisconsin inside the Kaminsky Center. You can watch that on Peacock. Tennessee minus 2.5.
Peacock all over the place right now. Is that in here? Yeah, I got. Of course, I got that. There you go. Badgers 3-2 against Tennessee all time. Greg Gard 2-0 against the Volunteers. Teams last played each other in 2019 in Knoxville. Guess what? Wisconsin won that game 68-48. Another guess what? No one involved in that game is involved in this game. Man, Gard has been reliable when playing top 10 teams. Won 10 times against top 10 teams since he took over, and 6 of the top 10 wins are against top 5 teams. Tennessee is ranked 9th. I'm of the belief that Wisconsin on a national level isn't quite recognized for its ceiling this season. I think it's got a really good shot. Also, how many points did this team score in its opener? How many was it? I'm looking right now. It was Arkansas State. They dropped 105. Now it's Arkansas State. I get it, but Arkansas State it's going to be rolling under Brian Hodgson. He's landing like 4-star recruits in the Sun Belt. Good. Arkansas State's the only team that's going to challenge JMU this year. Wisconsin dropped 105 on their heads. I'm going to take Wisconsin to win this game. Wisconsin winning this game would not surprise me in the slightest. They've got, similar to Texas A&M, a majority of their players returning. Tyler Wall, Tucky Hepburn, a GP favorite, of course. Stephen Crowell, the 7-footer. It's 2 of 3 from three-point range this season, by the way. It's not 2 of 2, but it's 2 of 3. I do like Wisconsin to win. I have a feeling, it could be wrong. I'm usually wrong about this. This might be the best game of the night. Arizona Duke is the best matchup, the most anticipated. But because of the way these teams play, I almost wonder if this might be the one that's destined to rubber band between no bigger than a 5 or 6, 7-point margin on either side. Love this one. Give me Bucky.
It's going to be a fist fight. You think it's going to be a fist fight?
I'm not going to go that far.
I'm glad you got that Peacock impression that on file.
Yeah, of course.
I'll always
I'm glad you
that.
could hear it.
Hey, we moving in the right direction.
That's right.
Buddy, we're going to get this thing figured out eventually. I'm glad we got that. I feel like it might never get better than that for me.
It's certainly possible.
You know how you age and your voice changes with time? Like Axl Rose, right?
Oh, boy.
You ever seen Axl Rose try to say Sweet Child of Mine in 2023?
Thankfully, no. By the way, someone in the chat's asking if Zakai Ziegler is going to play. Yeah, he'll play. He came off the bench in Tennessee's opener. He is back coming off an ACL tear. Obviously a very important player. Dalton Connect is the big name to know here. He's got real good potential in Northern Colorado transfer, in addition to guys like Josiah Jordan-James and Santiago Vescovi. Floor is yours, GP.
I just don't want to look up in like 25 years and I'm trying to do Peacock impressions and it, or sing Sweet Child of Mine, and I can't do either one of them the way I used to could do it, right? So you always have that from that moment. That's like my appetite for destruction, what you have right there. I'll always have that. I might not always be able to do that, but I'll always have that to reference. Appreciate you keeping that on file.
You're welcome.
I'm taking Tennessee minus the 2.5. I have to believe in the Vols.
Okay, so we're on opposite sides. I like that.
The computers love the Vols as much as they hate Miami. What do you think that's about?
It's a conspiracy that goes back years.
I know. That's what I've been trying to. I watched a YouTube video about that. They had a YouTube video about that.
Keep that research up.
You get to do the and one game, Deadleg. Do you remember that part of this?
I do remember that. I also give the listeners a little heads up on the few other games that we're not going to pick that they should know about. So what do you want first? You want the and one or the quick rundown on the 4 or 5 games we're not picking that people should be aware of?
I think recent history. You popped around a few games and then been like, but the one we're picking is, and
that's what we're gonna do.
All right.
Virginia at Florida Friday night in Charlotte. Nada, are you gonna be at this game?
I was there for Caitlin Clark last night. I will be there for the triple header for tonight. Yes, including that game.
Caitlin Clark had 44, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And should have had 60.
Biggest star in college basketball.
She is more famous than any men's player, isn't she?
Yes, she is the biggest star in college basketball. No
okay, who's the second biggest star in college basketball?
Angel Reese, I think, is the second biggest star in college basketball.
Who's the third then?
I would say Zach Edey is probably the third.
Zach Edey or Paige Beckers?
Ooh, good question. Paige didn't play last season. That's a good.
She's back though. She's back.
Back. That's a good one. That's a toss up right there. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh no! Somebody points out in the chat.
What's up?
I'm supposed to have to go against you in Game 3.
Too bad. See, the thing is, you get all caught up in your Final Four and 1. You're not looking at the document. You're not following the procedures. God. See? That's karma, buddy.
It's karma.
Too late. You can't go back on it.
Damn.
Nada will be at Virginia versus Florida Friday night in Charlotte. Virginia Tech and South Carolina is the men's nightcap at the Spectrum Center as well. Memphis plays at Mizzou, 9 Eastern, SEC Network. Some new look stuff with both those teams. DeAndre Williams didn't get cleared. We are not going to have a 27-year-old playing college basketball this season.
No, but he said he's going to keep supporting the Tigers, and he'll be watching from the nursing home.
Unnecessary. Gosh.
I was kidding.
Unnecessary.
I love DeAndre Williams.
I genuinely wanted to see him play and just dominate fools, but alas, not the case. Mizzou was last seen by a wide audience, getting just stunned by Princeton in the tournament. Dennis Gates has some new pieces this year. That's an intriguing one. Again, 9 Eastern, SEC Network.
And Dennis Gates just signed the second-ranked class in 2023.
He's building
highest ranked class in school history.
How about that?
We
mentioned earlier in the show big injury news at Gonzaga. I would argue maybe Malachi Smith at Dayton could be bigger. Dayton plays at Northwestern, 8:30 Eastern on Big Ten Network. No Malachi Smith. He was hurt 7 minutes into Dayton's opener. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. Tore his lateral meniscus in his right knee. That's a problem for the Flyers. It's a problem for me. I had Flyers top 25 heading into the preseason. This could be a defensive battle. Dayton's got a shot. Best defensive team in the A-10 last season. It might be a first to 60 wins, this one. We'll see on that. But those are a few other Friday games to know. Our and one pick, I'm going to some old Mountain West foes. We're heading to Brandon Davies Court.
Okay.
Friday, 9 Eastern. Number 17, San Diego State at BYU on Brandon Davies Court. Game is on ESPN Plus.
Mm-hmm.
You got this line, JP?
Not as posted at BYU -1.5.
Okay, that's what I just wanted to make sure. Okay. BYU -1.5 on its home floor against the ranked Aztecs. Who you got?
Well, this is easy. Do I either want to pick my Aztecs or the school that punished Brandon Davies for getting it in? Come on, man. You know what side I'm on. I can't pick a school that punished Brandon Davies for having fun. I can't get down like that. That's not how I get down. I ride with San Diego State. I had Lamont Butler top 40 on my ballot. Top 101 players in college basketball. You bums left him off completely. I got San Diego State fans asking me.
On his team. That's why.
I got San Diego State. You don't think Kyle Filipowski's the best player on his team?
Darion Trammell, stand up. Let's go. Short King.
I got San Diego State fans like, GP, Lamont Butler's not one of the top 101 players in the country. That's why I can't take your list seriously. I said, that's not my list. That's our list. Boy, I love it when people tell me they can't take the list seriously. This is why I can't take your list seriously. I'm like, ooh.
I need a list of the lists that people can take seriously.
Oh no. Oh no. What will I do now that you can't take this list seriously? I won't be able to sleep tonight.
Oh man.
Do you know how big of a nerd you got to be to tweet somebody that you can't take their list seriously?
I need the folks out there to find Mr. Gary Parrish on what's now known as the social media platform known as X. And this can be all in good fun. But to the people that don't listen to the show that might pop in on the replies, I'm going to need some consistency over the next couple of weeks, maybe months. And every time GP shares his rankings every morning, I'm going to need some folks being like, I can't take this list seriously.
It's so good. And it's always something like this. It's not even like, you've got Florida Atlantic in the top 5. I can't take this list seriously, although you do get that one a lot. It's like Arizona over UCLA. I can't take this list seriously. It's like that's Arizona over UCLA is not a radical opinion, but it'll make somebody out there. I just can't take this list seriously.
So good.
It's like, oh man. Well, let me delete it. let me delete the list then, since you can't take it seriously. Random person on X. Nerd. Man, if you ever catch me tweeting at Matt Snyder in the middle of July.
You know what? I don't think this is unthinkable.
You
blowing a 6-2 ninth inning lead or something like that. I think in the heat of the moment, even you might be.
You have the Mets 8th, and I can't imagine how anybody have them lower than 6th. I can't take this list seriously. You ever catch me doing that? I want you to hire a mover, send me to Bloomington, take my internet away. I'm taking San Diego State, man. I'll never forget what BYU did to that man.
Okay.
I'll never forget what BYU did to that man. He's trying to go to a Final Four and bang. That's it.
I'm going to take BYU in the spot, man.
Then denounce.
Incorrect. No.
Denounce your affiliation with us.
No.
Denounce your affiliation with
us.
us.
We're going to be clear about this. You can pick BYU to win a basketball game. It doesn't make you with them, okay? They're not exclusive. Again, Brandon Davies played for the program and is one of us, okay? Literally a member, wore the jersey. I can take BYU.
They embarrassed. They humiliated that man.
Marriott Center is a tough place to play.
That's true.
BYU
That's true.
Is projected to win. A lot of angsty energy in that place for numerous reasons. They're feisty. I'm going BYU. But this is a really, really good game. Top 3 game for me. Top 3 Friday night. Arizona Duke, Wisconsin Tennessee, Aztecs Cougs. Good stuff there. Give me BYU. GP's got SDSU, and that's a Final Four and 1.
You know how to do a sheep impression? If so, I'd like to hear yours now. You've been doing one. You've been doing one for 62 minutes. A 62-minute sheep impression from Deadleg. Who's the independent thinker now?
You're gonna be upside down if Arizona covers the spread.
I don't understand any of it.
To be clear, neither of us really care about our picks.
Yeah, we don't even put any thought into this. We're just talking.
We're just talking.
We're just talking. We don't put any thought into these picks. We're just talking. Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Terry M.F. and Teagle. Legend.
I got a shout. Frank Job. Who's Frank Job? Not that Job. The guy who did Tommy John surgery. Shouts to Frank Job.
It should be Frank Job surgery. It should be Frank Job surgery.
It should be Frank Job surgery.
Yeah.
Tommy John gets all the glory.
That's not fair, man. That's a big
Shouts
mistake.
To you, Frank Job.
That's a big mistake we've made in this country.
We lost him in 2014. We carry this podcast on in your memory.
It's the Frank Job Memorial Podcast. That Final 4-1 was presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. And we appreciate you guys for spending the past 64 minutes with us. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, including Apple and Spotify. More of us than there are of them. Us. Them.
Not a chance.
Us. Them. There's more of us than there are of them. And that needs to be reflected in the comments. So do that. We'll talk to you again on Sunday. I can't wait.